And are we, yes, I see lines, things moving. We're live and recording on the 21st of August, 2013, which all is really interesting because when any time now when I hear numbers, or especially with dates, they don't really, it's almost like it's instead of it, because we're not in linear time anymore, it almost feels to me more like Einstein's numbers when you see them. And they're like in this higher frequencies, and they're just like in different patterns instead of like this square calendar with the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So, but welcome to the Oracle. Welcome to the blue moon, full moon that peaked last night. But this is what I'm going to tell you about full moons, is that they actually affect people 3 or 4 days before and 3 or 4 days after. And in this case, what I kept picking up, because the last one was July 22nd, which was the feast day of Mary Magdalene. And I want everybody to kind of think back, even though we're really in many concepts and ways not in this linear thing, but kind of go back a month ago. Go back and see what the difference between where your life is now and where your life was then, and see all of the events and massive amount of shifting and changing and culminating that's happened, because it's huge. It's absolutely huge. And I even was kind of playing a game with myself and going to the summer solstice, in June, the June 21st, whatever, and it was like, that was like a million years ago. I was just kind of like, whoa, that was really a long time ago. So what we're going to be speaking about and working with the energy right now is you are free. You are free. I've been writing a lot about this kind of concept that we are the people who imprison ourselves, but we don't know it. And so many times we will get captured by others, but it's usually a group paradigm. It's usually a group consciousness, and in many ways, how you will get snagged into something you really don't want to be participating in is that it's familiar. There's guilt, shame, fear. There's getting distracted, we always talk about it's not the tiny stuff, it's not the big boulders on the path, it's the tiny little pebbles that kind of trip you up and get you, it's the most amazing thing when you think about what distracts you from things you're doing just every day in your normal life. I mean, it's just like that. And I've also will chime in that being overly focused is not good either, because when you're overly focused and not easily distracted, then you miss a lot. So in many ways, and again, it's this mysterious thing we've been talking about for weeks. What is this present time? And because present time really is the eternal now, and it's about the higher oneness, it's the single eye, not the duality, not the reptilian brain of the duality. But in that last residual things that we're healing from duality, it's merging all at once. So you'll think, oh my God, you're going to feel like a horse that's had the blinders taken off. And in other ways, you're going to feel like you're tunnel visioned on things. You're going to feel bad, good, up, down. And what I've been sensing for my own self in the last few days is those concepts are foreign. They're becoming foreign. They're becoming very foreign. These mental concepts of where that chattery brain that wants to go critique things and say this is good, this is bad, this is this is that. And it's more throwing yourself into the feeling, the moment, and dive past the chatter. Just go into the vibrations. And the vibrations will take you, the frequencies will take you. You'll go higher, 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 higher. You will go out, 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 out. And I always talk about this. It's like being the first time I was ever in a car wash, in a car wash, it kind of freaked me out, because it's kind of like, that's the way my life is all the time. I kind of feel like I don't know if the car's moving, those things are moving, or if it's going to really stop. You get to the end and you go, wait a minute, am I on the track? Did I get, and it feels like that time where you won't know, are you ascending, are you descending, are you going here, are you going there? And the truth of the matter is, you're not going anywhere, but you've stopped. But where you have landed and where you have stopped is no longer in this wheel. You are, and so you will feel like you're lost maybe for a while, because it's just like prisoners that get in trouble to get back in jail, because they get out and it's kind of like nobody's there to tell me what time to eat, what time to go to bed. I have to think for myself. I have to do these other things. And you'll find residual things of that where maybe that you've been so engrossed or engaged in certain things that at first you may feel a little lost. We've all been going through a lot of anger, a lot of frustration, a lot of betrayal, a lot of judgment, a lot of just creepy stuff, lower stuff that we're all moving. And when you get past that, you go into new territory that's like, wow, okay. We all know those different kinds of emotions, but they've been deeper and more intense and more revealing about yourself, about others. And so there's an area now to this freedom that is, it may feel at first, like I said, it's like no man's land, but it's not. It's a wonderful, beautiful, clear, clean, bright space. And I encourage everybody not to be afraid. Don't be afraid of this, because the most common thing I've heard in the last 2 or 3 days with my sessions with people, well, I know, I feel this, but I'm waiting for the other shoe to fall. And I know it's not really going to fall because I think all my shoes fell. So it can't possibly be even one more shoe to fall. So I have to be crazy because there couldn't be anything else that's going to happen. And again, it's that last of those waves of stuff that's the illusion that's not real. And if you embrace and go farther and farther out, and you won't get lost in space, I promise. You won't get lost. You will be, you will find that it's a place you've always been. It's like all the stories of Alice in Wonderland or the Wizard of Oz, and everybody's looking for their home, and this is your home. You've always been in your home. And for many different reasons or whatever, we've learned to not be in, or think we're not in, this vehicle, this temple. And through different ways we've given our power away, or we've been pushed. We've pushed emotions down, or we've allowed ourselves to experience things, but we didn't want to feel pain, so we have learned to get out of our bodies. And you're going to find that you want to be in your body, you want to be in your life, you want to be in your world, especially now that the cleansing is here and the old things are gone. You're going to feel like a kid again. You're going to feel like the hope and the joy and the things that little babies and children and little animals feel when they're just in that beautiful open space. They're safe. They feel safe. They're in their spiritual beings in their physical body, but they're in this incredible place of home within themselves. So the journey that we've all been on is very much like the biblical stories of the prodigal son. When you journey out, because we were given the most amazing gifts of free will, given the gifts of co-creation. And so with our free will, we predestine ourselves. People ask me all the time, well, do you believe in predestination? Do you believe in free will? I believe in both of them. And again, it's that illusion that there's a duality. Because with our free will, we have predestined ourselves because of decisions we made. But again, all the things that frequency-wise that we have sent out are now here, but you can make conscious choice to end certain things. But the only way you can do that is to be in your life. So it's a time in your life when one of the best gifts of Spirit that you want to have of Holy Spirit is discernment. Discernment is not judgment. Judgment is different than discernment. When you have a discerning spirit, a discernment about your life, it's a real thing that you feel, you know. It's not a blind faith. It's not a... it's like when you're a little child, or even yesterday, last week, where you knew something, but then you went against what you knew. And we all know. There's a knowing faith that you have, and there's a discernment. Now, especially now that the facades are clearing, and that you're being grounded, and you're anchored into your own being, your own body, you'll have more and more and more radar and frequencies that transmit things to you long before you find yourself immersed in negativity again. You'll get it. You'll go. Especially with all the things we've all gone through with growth and learning. When you get to a point where you're starting to feel really clear and good, you don't want to go back. You don't want anything. So people keep saying, well, what? I don't get it. What's different? You're different. I'm different now. Nothing has really changed. You're just aware of what you were living in. It's like living in a dark house, and you don't know till the light comes in the house, and you turn on all the lights in every one of the rooms, and all of a sudden you go, wow, there's a bunch of dirt over there. There's a bunch of cobwebs over there. But when you were sitting in the dark, you weren't bothered by it. You were, but you didn't know because you didn't see it. And so this is what's been happening really over the last 18 months. We've just been inundated, the whole earth, with light, the whole universe. We're being filled with light. And so as that light illuminates the different things, and you look and you go, whoa, okay, wait a minute. It's been an amazing process. And I'm telling you right now, you're just seeing what has always been there. In my Father's house are many mansions. In your being are many mansions. Within your body temple are many mansions. So when we talk about chakra, it's just a Sanskrit word for wheel of light. Basically it's the endocrine. If you want to go into physical, it's the endocrine system. And a good way to explain some of that is that it's like people who have phantom pain if they've lost a limb. They'll still feel energy. It's the same thing. We have an etheric double. So in other words, a lot of times when I'm doing healing, if somebody has had a hysterectomy, or somebody has had a kidney removed, or had something removed, there's ways through healing to anchor in that. It may be missing in one way in your body, but because you have this, let's call it the spare tire, the spare body, the spare parts, you can anchor in those things. And I have seen women, for example, who were very depressed, very down, because I think, what happens when people go through hysterectomies. They age faster. They're loss of the hormones. No matter if they're I've done different meditations, different visualizations, anchoring into the body, and I've seen people reverse that aging process and really come back to life. So it's a very important thing to know that don't buy into finite level. The lower mind is always going to want to tell you something is impossible. There aren't miracles. It isn't logical. This isn't, and we know because there's been many, many studies. They tend to be in very remote regions like Russia, I know, is one of the places, but the remote parts of Russia, where they have found people that are 150 years old, or they grow second, third sets of teeth. If they've lost a finger, it grows back. Why does it happen there or in some of these places and it doesn't happen here? Because we live in a very artificially mind-controlled setting. We live under the illusion that we are in the best country in the world, the freest country in the world, but yet we have, look at the statistics on everything. Heart disease, breast cancer, you name it. We are programmed to, and it's extremes, either be dependent on a welfare state, which is very purposeful, when they took males out of the home and you got rewarded for having babies and people start being educated. There's a book called The Dumbing Down of America, read it. They stopped educating people in 1972. Or you have the other paradigm. You have to work 60 hours a week. Are you kidding me? When I was younger, I remember distinctly people had, I know I'm not making this up, if you had a 9-to-5 job, you actually got an hour off for lunch. And it wasn't like you had to come in at 8. And then that world existed at one time, folks. You wouldn't think that now. You're lucky if you get, 15 minutes, 20 minutes to eat. And there's this whole thing of, this paradigm of just killing yourself and working and working. But what do they do in Europe? They work sometimes 3 days, 4 days. They take long breaks. They give 6 weeks for vacation. But of course, people in Europe also save, 25-35% of their income. In our world, we're in a throwaway society, and we're taught instant gratification, it's all about it's a bad now. it's the bad side of some people that think they're in present time, that just live for the moment and don't think about anything else. And so we live in a very strange paradox, because in, of course, many ways we do have an amazing world we live in the United States. But you really want to break through those paradigms that you may be living out that are not you. I think the most common thing I've heard in the normal, whatever normal is, workplace the last couple of years, people used to make huge amounts of money in medical sales. The people who are making huge amounts of money in medical sales now are people that do the devices, or that are called at 2 in the morning, they go into the emergency room because they have a certain thing their company sells, which is amazing to me, is that layman salesmen are in the operating room. It's a really interesting thing. But it's just, it's kind of mind-boggling. But people are in the other kind of sales. They've all of a sudden figured out ways to cut their territories, I know people have gone 50% like overnight from what they were making. It's purposeful. And you've all probably lived in and worked in situations where they fire people and they don't replace them. That's the sneaky one. All of a sudden you're going, I wonder where that other person's going. All of a sudden you realize, ooh, I think I'm that other person. And you're doing the work of 2 or 3 people, but they might give you a little bit more money, but you're not. Yeah. So we live in a very interesting, it's that old usury vibration. It's that old mentality. It's that programmed thing about, no pain, no gain. We have to, we have to suffer. We have to work. We have to, this kind of thing. The things that steal your joy, that rob your joy. You will find more and more, it will be easier, and this has been a theme for the last 3 or 4 months, where people have been absolutely, they didn't know it, but enslaved and lived in constant fear that if they didn't take, and I'm talking about people even like, managers and people in higher level jobs, that if they didn't do this or they didn't do that, they were going to lose their jobs. And they're waking up and going, I don't care if I lose my job. I'm not living like this anymore. And interesting things happening. When people are finding their voice, or they're speaking up in a right way, not in a way of like this real destructive, but just they're waking up and figuring things out, because it's a group energy that it's happening to. They've actually, instead of staying trapped, they realized that they had a part in it. They had a part in it, because how we feel about ourselves, how we view ourselves, how we were treated as children or in past lives, we subconsciously will find people that match different roles, or that will voice and mirror to us things good, bad, and different about ourselves. So the more you clear within yourself any lack of self-worth, or painful things, or expectation of criticism or negativity, the more whole you become, not just in your own one-on-one relationships, but in the workplace, in every level. All that in the outer world will change. And back in the 70s, that was the big, really before the New Age movement, that's a really old paradigm, or thought is, thoughts are things, mind is a builder, which is an Edgar Cayce thing, but also that everything is just a mirror. But the more you grow in spirit, and the more you understand things, what you'll understand about the mirror thing is that it doesn't mean that you are like what people are saying, or that you are like the person that you're having. But you have matching pictures. So when you no longer feel like you want a jailer, or somebody to persecute you, or somebody to criticize you, or somebody to compete with you, or somebody to, whatever the things that have been going on, they disappear, or you don't put up with it anymore. You all of a sudden go, I think I'm going to write a different play here because I don't like this character. You're out. You're gone. And it really is an inward thing. When you shift in here, then the outer world changes. It's not reversed. And this is the tricky thing of, especially Western paradigm, we are actually brought up to think, if I control, and of course control is fear, if I control, if I manipulate, if I pretend like I like this, or I pretend I'm a certain way, or look a certain way, or I can think terrible thoughts or whatever, but if I do these good works, that's not how it is. Or if I manipulate, or if I just get this job, or if I get this money, or if I only have this person, then I'm going to be happy. We all know that's not the way it works. So you're going to find more and more and more that when you are home, addictions will go away. How does that work? Because when you're fragmented, and when you have not the good emptiness of Buddhism that talks about the emptiness, that peaceful emptiness, where there's a non-attachment, but you're open and you're safe. When you are not in your body, and when you have holes in your aura, and you have places that aren't healed, this is really what addiction is about. And it can be addiction to anything. You can put in, it could be work, it could be sex, it could be drugs, it could be food, it could be any kind. It's really what compulsive behaviors are about, obsessive behaviors are about. You're trying to fill these holes, and as you know, it's a bottomless pit. It doesn't work. You will find more and more that as you are becoming filled with light, and those places are no longer needing whatever you're thinking you need to put in those places, things that you may have normally gotten lots of comfort, lots of relief, it will have the opposite effect. I have lots of people coming in and saying that they can drink, they're not getting high, or they just smell alcohol now and it's making them sick. Same thing with food. People had certain food addictions, or certain kinds of taste. Like a lot of people get into the salty sweet thing, or into, they're finding that because you're also, as we're transmuting, we're turning into light, there's now chemical transmutation that's taking place in the body. And so, and it's chemistry. It's pH, the body's really about the chemistry, the pH, or the acidic balances and different things. You're going to find that as you're becoming more balanced, even in your body, brain-body chemistry, the things that maybe tasted really good to you that were about this sweet, salty thing will taste like bitter or icky or chemically, or it won't taste good. And you won't want to eat it. You won't want to drink things. You won't want to do certain things. So it's spilling over into every aspect of your life. You're going to find that instead of, a lot of people are having this experience too. We become so regimented. We have lots of space we live in, but sometimes we find ourselves, we've carved out very tiny spaces that we only live in your own home. So it's really weird things, right? I'm probably the only person that doesn't do that, but it's because Spirit tricked me. Okay, this is my routine. I should really film this because it's really, but I like it because it's really just me. I spend a couple of hours, well, now that I have the new kitty, she's not integrated with the other kitties, so I spend a couple hours sleeping with the new kitty. I have 4 kitties that are in the green bedroom, and they come in and out, but they're very peaceful, they're very bonded. The gray boys, the little terrorist boys, the Russian blue boys, tend to, and they don't really hurt them, but so I'll sleep in there a couple hours. I have huskies and Malamute. They are prey driven, so you have to be very careful with them around cats. So I will sometimes sleep with the cats. So there's some nights that I'm like, and I realize, wow, I'm kind of sleeping all over my house. I'm not sleeping around. I'm sleeping with animals. And not the male kind. I'm sleeping with it. And I've been doing this for a few months, and I thought, this is hilarious. And then I thought, because I first thought, no, you're really sick. This is really crazy. Here's a crazy cat lady. You're giving too much power to your. Then I realized, no, there's a bigger reason. You're actually dreaming different things when you're in this room. You're actually going into parts of the home that you really don't normally spend time. And you're going to find this with a lot of things. A lot of things that maybe what you're doing, it may not be what you may be doing certain things, but it's not, there's a lot more to it. And that's what you want to look at, is what open up to how you're being guided to do different things. And take a look around your home. Go to different windows and look out. Don't just find your favorite one you think this is the window, this is the view. Look other places. Rest in your other room, your guest room. Go. It's really fun. It's really fun. I even made like so I was a little girl, I always pretended that everything in the room was up in the ceiling and I lived up there. But my other favorite thing was to take blankets and take chairs or tables and make tents. And defining our own little space. We're little people. It's like, oh, this is good. This is, and I've even done that because I've just I've been just feeling like playing, because life gets so serious that you forget it's so easy to become robotic and to get programmed to wake up every day and go from point A to point B to point C, and you miss everything. You miss so much. I will drive different ways to places sometimes too. I've just been shaking it up. So I'm pretty proud anyway, but so for me it's really been interesting. It's like, wow, there's some really big stuff going on out here. But I would advise everybody to, in your own being, in your own life, in your own home, in your own, even your workplace. And that's why they put people in cubicles. It's very disgusting. It's very, especially if you're trapped in a cubicle across from, Darth Vader or somebody, or dark energy. It's very hard. It really is. And so I've been encouraging people, because that's the most common one I'm hearing also, are people coming in and going, yeah, I'm trapped in this thing and this awful person. And I say, go ask if you can change. There's different ways to do it. You can work in a remote way. You can ask for a higher, we don't ever want to interfere with somebody else's spiritual space. You can pray and visualize that person if it's according to their free will and highest good. You can do remote work with people. that you have issues with on any level. Or you can, if you can't stand it, you go and you say, I need to be in a different cubicle. And then once you start doing that, and I tell people always, if you're trapped in an office building in particular, any chance you get, I don't care if it's the dead of winter, stick your head outside and breathe in the breath of life. Because there's so much formaldehyde in building materials. There's so much toxic stuff in. You're poisoned. You're basically, and it's the artificial light. They still use fluorescent lights. They still use, really creepy stuff that goes on. Schools are, a lot of the schools are just filled with mold. And that's what children and teachers, I've been encouraging people, they can see them. I go, call the health department. What are you talking about? Speak up. We've learned to hide. We see it, we know it, but we're oppressed, or we don't think we have power. And that's really what you want to get in touch with, is knowing that if something is not right, if something is toxic on any level, you have the right to speak up. You have the right to tweak the world, even if you're in a structured setting of work, that you have rights. You have the ability to make changes. And again, we're just trained not to. The other thing I'm sure you're finding, we all find, not only at work, not only at neighbors or people, everywhere you go, you'll find your dysfunctional family until you heal it. I always made that joke about bands, because I used to date people in bands and be involved with bands and music and stuff. And they're huge dysfunctional families. It's hilarious. And there's really archetypes. Bass players are a certain way, and drummers are a certain way, and it's really true. It's really interesting. And so you want to look around in the world that you're in and see who, what, when, where is pushing your buttons. What's activating you? And instead of going, okay, wow, and not doing anything about it, go deeper into, where have I felt this before? Who's been like this before? Take the journey of this is everything we're all going through right now. Trust me, it's just the total tiny, tiny tip of the iceberg. But what's happened, people have reached their boiling point, so people are exploding. And then people are thinking, oh, it's about this thing or this person or this. And it's really ancient stuff. It's ancient tyranny, ancient whatever your stuff, abandonment, reject, whatever your stuff is, it's going to feel really giant, because it is. So don't let anybody say you're overreacting or you're blah, 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 because you're really not, because the things that have reached this culminating time are ancient things that have waited for this time to be healed. So pay attention to what is pushing you, what is activating you, what is aggravating you, what is making you feel wonderful, and just follow those feelings. And you're going to have, that's the way to freedom. That's your path to freedom. I realized, I've had so many aha moments lately. I realized a long time ago, apparently, I just kind of learned to not come down here. I kind of kept one foot there, one foot here. Even, I thought about a couple of really funny examples of it. When I was in the first grade, I was the youngest person in my class, and my mother was a teacher, and I already knew how to read and write and do things. But they treated me like I was stupid because I wouldn't color in the lines. And I thought, I don't care if I color. I would only use certain colors. So they put me in the back of the class, and I was so happy because I thought, this is good. I'll just be back here. But they had this teacher, and I look back now, and who knows what was really going on, but I got some vibe that she looked like a witch. She was this was in the days of the 50s, Miss So-and-so, I'm not going to say her name. This is not the fourth grade bad teacher. This is the first grade. Oh, I had some in every grade. Every grade, I kind of got hit with all of them. I just remember it because it was such an overwhelming feeling. First day of school, she's a very big woman, big granny shoes, like just, I mean, I just can't describe, I think it was 1950s, and most of you weren't alive then. But very, I don't know, she was just really foreboding to me. I mean, I felt her energy. The first day of school, she announces that you cannot ever go to the bathroom by yourself. She has to go with you. And I thought, Mom, I don't think that's right. I don't think I ever went to the bathroom first grade. then she announces that you cannot, when you leave, you have to give her a hug and kiss. And I thought, wrong again. And I was pretty shy in some ways. I was kind of really, but I was off my own world. So I remember, and all the kids obediently lined up in this almost like gauntlet to get past her. I kicked her. It was, it wasn't to be mean. It was I look back and it was like it was instinctual. I just thought, well, and I took off, and she never bothered me. No, never again. And then this all came to me the last couple of days. Then, when I was a freshman in college, I wanted to go to this acting school in New York, and I had won this scholarship, and my parents wouldn't let me go. So at the last minute, I ended up having to go to this it was a wonderful small private college that my mother had graduated from. But of course, she'd graduated like top of her class, and and some of the teachers I think were still there. This is in Pella, Iowa, where they make Pella windows. All Dutch town. We have the Dutch festivals. My mother's Dutch, and Central College, wonderful school, started in the 1850s. But I was so unhappy to be there. Well, I was so unhappy that I kind of just didn't, I kind of detached. And so one day, they had mandatory, Dutch Reform College kind of thing. They had mandatory chapel. You had to go to chapel. Well, I kind of got sick, first week I was just really not feeling great. And I was then I remembered now that I was kind of watching. And I realized that when people were going to this chapel, they were like, they had a chart and they were writing names down. Well, I just never sat down in a chair. I just never got put on the chart. And I look back and see how I kind of just I avoided certain things. But what's interesting is when you behave that way, then people project really weird things on you. Like, you're this or you're that. How did you... And when they were really just natural defenses. So you're going to find things popping up in your mind about behaviors that you did or ways that you maybe coped with not conforming or not being trapped in the matrix, because it is the matrix. And you'll find different, I've just had amazing little, really even olfactory things and like snippets of things coming from way different eras of my life into this right now and forming a picture of, wow, this is interesting. I've had people in that never, ever thought of reincarnation, never thought they were reincarnated, they didn't believe in it. This has been the last couple of weeks. They're coming in, they're going, why do I all of a sudden want to put an Indian headdress on? Why do I want to ride a horse? I've never liked horses, or different things. Pay attention. As you're waking up to you, not what people wanted you to be or thought you should be, or you were living in a reactive place to, you're going to start your life. It's like those sponges, you put water on and come to life, the little things appear. It's like that. You're going to feel like that, like you're coming out of that can, and the water and the lights on you now, and the real authentic you is going to be able to you're free, you're out. And so pay attention to the things that you're now maybe, that you are naturally feeling like you want to do or to try or to think about. And at first it may feel like it could be wrong because you were so programmed to be in a certain mindset or a certain way of being or conformity. It's really the time, that's what the age of Aquarius is. It's the individuated soul. It's that individuated This is a term that Jung used a lot. It's you as an individual springing up out of that collective unconscious of what the Piscean age was about. The age of Pisces, Pisces contains all of the 12 signs, and it's a fish swimming in opposite directions. And it was a learning through a group consciousness. The Aquarian age is you in your beautiful, unique expression manifesting. We are all made, we're all special. Nobody's not special. We're all special. Everybody has their own talents, their own gifts, their own purpose. And know that you have a purpose. You have a reason why you have chosen to be in your body on the earth at this time. And you will figure it out. You will figure it out. And keep freeing yourself from oppressive energy, controlling energy. The freer you are, you will resist controlling energy. You will not want it. And it's very typical, I think, a lot of times, what happens in our, just give you an example of some of our typical relationships. A lot of people let's say an engineering mind, practical kind of person, sometimes they will marry people that are artists, people that are kind of wild and free, and so they're both attracted to each other because the one person's very grounding and very stabilizing, and the person that's doing that likes the idea of their person being able to do the stuff. And for a while it works, and then the person that's able to kind of be freer and whatever likes that stability. But when people start to, especially if it's very symbiotic and it's very codependent, when people start to grow and change, all of a sudden it's like, he's controlling me. Or she's crazy. Or it can be vice versa. The woman could be the stability and the man cannot have the job or whatever, or work, and those kind of paradigms. And we've all lived in certain ways. You look back on early relationships in your life and you see why you were attracted and why then when you grew it didn't work. Again, those were the matching pictures you had at the time you were drawn together. People can, of course, grow together and change, but so much, especially when there's very extremes, they don't. They don't. And after 44 years of doing this work, there's so many archetypes and paradigms I could go into of those variations and those themes. So if you're finding yourself in a relationship and all of a sudden it feels like it just really sucks, you don't want to be in it anymore, you really want to take your own responsibility though and think, okay, wait a minute. What part do I have in this? I don't mean in a blaming way of yourself or the other person, but look at who you both were. Look at where you were before you got involved. What led up to you being drawn together? What happened? And pay attention to where it started to make departures, or it started to become reversed from this. I always make the joke about soulmates. People get very excited. Oh, I met my soulmate. Within 6 months, they're your cellmate. It's like the tarot card, the devil or the lover. And the devil card, the people are joined, that they're chained together. And then the lover card, they're in the tree of life, and that there's nothing binding them but their own love, unconditional love. So you want to really work with these paradigms. And if you're not in a relationship, I would invite all of you, because it's going to happen to you anyway, I guarantee you. I think every person I ever knew in the last couple of years, I have had dreams about, thought about, realized my part of what I did wrong, or what I, take response, just massive amounts of healing about understanding, because it's so easy to, especially when you're in marriages or you're in long-term relationships, it's so easy to, again, we've been taught to make things dramatic, to separate. So instead of just going, wow, how can we find a positive way to separate? How do we not have War of the Roses? How do we, we're not taught that. You see it in your own, with children. You see, because this is the most common thing you deal with this time of the year too. Huge family fights. And I always know, oh, is your child a senior? Are they going off to college? And you can tell within 6 months, sometimes even 6 weeks, sometimes right down to what, this is moving day at IU and different places, down to, I've had phone calls last 2 or 3 days about this, people just exploding, and the children, I hate you, and they don't hate each other, they have to make this up so they can separate. It's fascinating. It's fascinating how we have this learned behavior of drama and separating in ways that are so, and I think it's because, I think when you have those things, I think there's some natural things with it, but I also think it has to do with the more codependent, the more symbiosis you were. It's like they just say the sharpest knife cuts the quickest. It's almost like people all of a sudden come to this reality of like, I've got to cut this. I've got to kill this. I've got to really separate out. And so you really want to look at all these things in your life right now because it's very, very real. And I'm going to, give you another viewpoint. There are some situations and people that that just is what it is. But look at your life and look at your relationships and look at all of these things right now and know that there are better, higher ways of doing things. Some things, we have to go back to point of origin. And some things, if they karmically from a long time ago were headed toward it ending in a certain way, that's kind of what happens. But really look at any ways that you may be passive aggressive and set up yourself to be fired or to have somebody mad at you so they'll pull the trigger on the relationship, or you may even know that you've done that. These are very tricky things. The mind is a very tricky thing. The mind, because we're really so programmed to become cagey, or to, we want to be honest, we want to be transparent, we want to be forthright, but it's not met with acceptance so many times. So you really want to, these are things I'm seeing in masses right now, in my own life, in people's lives, and the readings, and everybody here. Really be aware of, just keep going. Don't go back to a familiar spot and think, okay, I get it, and I'm gonna dig in here. Keep going, because there's more. There's more. There's more. The adventure is going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. Don't stay that close to the old camp. Go out and find the new territory. Go out and find the adventure of your life, and find the simplest things can be the most amazing adventures in your life, of just as you're awakening to your own being in your own life, you're going to have so much more fun. Again, we get so cut off from truly authentically connecting with our own family members, our own people you want to be with. I know you can all identify with this. Sometimes you're so tired by the end of the day you can't even relate. The people you'd like to talk to, you burn out. And you go, God, that really is bad, because I really want to talk to this person. I struggled with this a lot when my mother was in the nursing home. And I look back now and I realize I was trapped in a mindset. Instead of like carving out time during the day, which would have probably been a better idea, I did some of that. But I would go 8 o'clock at night, 2:30 at night, which was an interesting time to go, because people that have dementia, my mom wasn't like this, but she was in that type of a wing. People have the sundowners. And so I know that some of why I was drawn to go at that night, I helped a lot of people. Because they would be, and you could tell, especially in the dementia wings, where people were trapped. There was a woman, all she did was carry around a picture of herself and her parents when she was a baby, and she'd go, Daddy, Daddy, oh my God. I mean, it broke your heart. And I would try to find ways to like redirect her. There was another woman who would, the bad man's going to get me. And she looked like she was like 8 years old. And you knew she had to be molested. You saw right where people were trapped. It was one of the most fascinating things. I just wish that when it was all going on, the clinical side of me would have liked to really, they probably wouldn't have allowed it. I would like to really interview people and film them and get their life stories. So I did what I could do without the nurses and stuff freaking out. I would sit and talk to them. And I would try to not, because it's so easy when people have certain behaviors we don't understand or that it can be scary to people. We just think, oh, they're crazy. Oh, they've got dementia. No. Most people that are labeled crazy or have dementia or have what they're saying has truth in it. They're telling you a truth. And it would just be, and my mother, because my mom was a real trip because she was a brilliant woman. She had several degrees, several master's degrees, very smart, very, wrote a book, wrote a couple books, was a school teacher, was a guidance teacher. Well, she, even at 89, 90, she was still the teacher. So she would go around, and she was mobile. And she was a clean, neat freak, so she was always picking up things, like she always did. Everything had to be clean, Dutch thing, had to be clean, neat. But she would go around and patrol everything. It was hilarious. So I would get these phone calls frequently. We can't tell you who she hit, but your mother hit this woman. I'm like, oh, God. And they would laugh, and I go, oh, I know who it is. They go, yeah, we just let, they go, we were all glad that she did, but what she would do, because I observed it a few times, it was the people that were mean or bullying, because some people in their demented states are mean, very hateful and curse, and it's almost demonic. And it's really sad for the people that don't. My mom was very not doing any of that kind of stuff. And so she would give them a warning, like she was a school monitor. It was hilarious. And she would say, now, Mary, blah, 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 you need to behave. It was so funny. And, but Mary would just get more intense. And so if Mary would, go to grab somebody, she would, slap her. One time she slapped her. And it was just, it was such a trip to watch it because that was what she was familiar with. That's what she wanted to do. There was a woman, and I recognized her from a doctor's office. She worked for probably 50 years for this doctor. You walk in, no matter what time of day or night, have a seat in this Isaac. She'd know your name, even though she's in this. Because I think I'd gone to that doctor, and she'd say, the doctor will be with you in a few minutes. And it was just, there were so many levels and layers of stuff that would go on there it was really fascinating. So again, if you find yourself in situations, and different other people in my family couldn't stand the go. I mean, and I understand. Some people they can't deal with it. They can't stand to see their person that way or in this. Break through those barriers. Make yourself deal. If you have things around you, take responsibility. Go break through what the appearance of things. Because what would happen after a while when I was there, we'd be very calm. I would just sit and talk. I would ask people questions. People never really would talk or that were, doing repetitive things because I was engaging them. They, like the woman that walked around with the picture, I would sit down with her and I would ask her, I said, let's try to find your daddy, but I don't think he's right here. I want you to tell me about your daddy. I want you to tell me about this little girl. Is that you? And she would break down and she would say, my son never comes to see me. And you really cry and you go, oh my God. You get through to another level, And it's we're surrounded by these things, but we have all these same hurts within our own self. And so when I would be sitting with these people and observing these people, my mom would say, you're almost old enough to be in here. It would be hilarious. She goes, you're over 50. They have people in here. You're over 50. I'm like, oh God, please. I told Marilene, I said, if you ever put me, I won't. Oh yeah. So pay attention to all of your environment. Don't try to, in your mind, think you want this perfect world because you won't be happy. Whatever you're in is what you're in. And you want to explore the facets of it. You want to understand that when we take everything at face value, or you look at, and that's what a lot of people do. You can see why it's very hard for some people to go, because they want their mother to be, or their father to be young again. They don't want the role reversal. They can't stand the fact of death. They can't stand the fact of aging, or the dependence, or whatever, you know. But I guarantee you, once you break through those kind of things, it's a whole different thing happens. And it's the same thing with you're hitting barriers within yourself that you are ugly, or you don't want to think about, or parts of your life that you're ashamed of, or that you think you've got to let that light in. And you've got to break through those barriers, and to know that behind all of that, once you make those breakthroughs, it's not negative. It's not destructive. It's not, and you'll be able to be free to create a life you really want to be in. That's your real life. Does anybody have a question or a comment, or want to share anything about what's going on in your life?
Question.
Yes.
It's probably will take longer than what we have to answer, but you're talking, Dave, this evening about Siberia or someplace in Russia where they can heal themselves. How did we get so far away from that in our society? How did we get so far away from that?
The answer is this: when people live in remote villages and remote areas, and they're not subjected to mind control, and they walk on the earth barefooted, or they on the bottom, and especially in certain islands, people don't get cancer. Certain, they walk because we have hundreds of wheels of light or chakras on the bottoms of our feet, which is why when we do the meditation, we're walking trees, and we have deep roots that connect us. But we started to get sick when we put barriers between ourselves and the earth energy that was coming up through our bodies. So a lot of places where they find these remote islands where people are very healthy and they live, it happens in Asia too, it happens in different cultures, or in, just all kinds of different places around the world. They tend to be remote areas where they're not watching TV. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
They're not.
There's no mind control.
They're not mind controlled. They don't think they're supposed to die at a certain time, or they don't think, man, I got a lot of cholesterol. I better start taking medication. I'm crazy. I better take something. Let's do that. They're in a natural environment, and they're walking on the earth. They're eating indigenous foods. They're I always go into this because people say, well, why is there this evil cocaine and evil drugs on the earth? Well, because if you lived in the Andes and you were working, there's a thing called the cocoa leaf that you just took off the branch and you chewed it and made your body warm. That's the way it's supposed to be.
You don't go to Starbucks for your candy.
Yeah, you're right. It's right. It's better to. There's a reason why things, but when they take those. When they take that and they mix it with impure things, and they transmute it into things that are very addictive to people, that they just do to get high or whatever, it's evil. But in its natural environment, there's no place on this earth where something's growing. It's there for a practical reason. So that's what, give them energy, keep the body warm, on and on and on. So, Edgar Casey was very much into this about you shouldn't eat. I think he said it's best to eat food that's within a 10-mile radius. I mean, we can't really do that anymore, but it was the introduction of certain types of foods also from exotic places that our bodies just we weren't living in that climate, but our bodies had so that's part of the answer. When you're in a very, a place that's very much uncontaminated, and doesn't have, poisons and toxins, and you have to have a perfect lawn. I do animal healing, and one of the most common things they see in the last 10 years, 15 years, are face cancers in dogs.
Lawn care.
And what?
Lawn care.
Yeah, the lawn care. Yep, lawn care. Lawn care. Yeah. We forget that our little babies are on the grass. They're on the ground. And that's why you're okay. You want some water? You okay? You're fine. You're not going to interrupt me. That's when she'll be okay. Well, see, she's having an emotional reaction to something. We said, when we do these things, people will have emotional reactions, and it comes out, yes. That's a wonderful ex-husband.
It's really ex-husband.
I love these people. It's great. So it's the same thing. Don't ever use bleach. Are you kidding me? Bleach isn't good for you. It's not good for your animals. Put your face down on the floor and pretend you're your dog or cat and see what happens. We forget. We forget. And they're little. You know, it's the first thing I do when I work with animals or little kids. I get on the floor with them. And I don't care if it's people who are having dominance issues with the dogs. I'm not into that kind of stuff. If it's a very dominant dog, I don't care. I'll get on the floor with it. So you put yourself, get free enough from your stuff that you're trapped in to connect with all that's around you. And you'll find that you want to, that you'll have that consciousness will expand out. That consciousness will expand out. I was going somewhere with this. Oh, yeah. So, again, it's that same idea. We think we have to control. You know, you cannot. It's hilarious. You can ask Glenda. I, at least once a week, twice a week, sometimes more, get people that stop by, oh, can we do your lawn control? Or and I go, no. And they go, well, you've got dandelions. I go, well, yeah, I like them. They're yellow. They're like, what? Or, I like the wild, people come like, ma'am, your trees need to be trimmed. We need to trim those bushes. It's like, I like it like this. So, but again, we get into this conformity of like, we have to have, especially when you live in suburbs, because they want you to, can't paint your door unless you paint, right, you know. And it's just horrible. And it is. And then other people's lawn control can waft over. Fortunately, nobody around here, God. Then they've come up with this natural, and I don't know if it's true or not, but I guess they have some that are more natural than others, but it works better. But expand out into your consciousness. And another thing I do, that I like to do, is go out and just lay on the earth. Just lay on the earth. A really cool thing, and we'll do it sometime, is to take soft copper wire, and you can experiment if you want to do it on both fingers, or you're going to do a polarity of just one finger. You wrap copper wire around your finger, but you leave an end sticking out, and you stick it in the earth. Ooh, you get wired for sound. It is awesome. It's like, seriously. And I love to play with it, like, okay, put both, I'm going to try one, got the other one. And, I didn't try my toes. That could be interesting. That could be really woo. Or different, yeah. But we lost that connection with Earth, and we thought we had to then control the Earth. And then matricide, ensued. And instead of like the honoring of the Earth, we want to control. We no longer were stewards of the land. We want to control. We want to mine. We want to do all these horrible things, the way people get the gold and get the different resources and the oil and the fracking and the different crazy stuff, And it's all that mentality is Luciferian. It all comes from the dark energy that did not respect the mother, the divine mother, and did want it to create without that and saw it as something to be dominated. So that's one of the answers to that question, because, and also a mentality of, we've been actually programmed. They'll tell you, okay, you're midlife. So what do you start to think? Gee, midlife, so double that. I guess I'm going to die when I'm whatever. We're programmed to, this is what happens at these ages. And so it's all that kind of stuff. But it's a great question, because it is what has happened. But I mean, I've got books on it actually because I first thought, because I take everything with a grain of salt, especially certain things that sound really far out. But there literally are documented cases where people grew second, third, fourth sets of teeth and grew land. I mean, it's mind over matter. I mean, if you still have a feeling, it makes sense that, and you have this double etheric body, why couldn't you do something, But we've grown so, we want to think about those things when we watch fantasy movies. We'd rather watch a movie about that. We've gotten lured into science fiction and which are all interesting things, but they keep you in the mental. They don't let you go, wow, I could be,
Real.
yeah, I could be Princess Zara or whoever, this is the Ninja Turtles. And little kids know that, though, because they act them out. They will watch, but then they also act. That's what was fun about Gen Con. Jill, that was fun. I swear to God, I have got more comments from people about, and I felt like a little kid. That's why it was just neat because it's it's their chance to just be. And so when I saw that thing with the plunger, I thought, ooh, this is fun.
She comes with a Dalek, is what she's talking about.
Well,
Yeah,
because you had to come up, what's it called, the
It's a
Dalek?
Dalek, yeah.
And they're like robotic things.
It's the most supreme evil in the entire universe, yeah.
Well, of course, it shows that one, the most supreme evil in the universe. So, doing all these funny things, that's hilarious. Oh, okay, makes total sense. Yeah, so, that's hilarious. So, and that's how you deal with the supreme, the most evil things. Yeah, you don't get dominated by it. You do a playful thing with it. So yeah, that was so much fun, and I really think it's a big key for people is to act out who you are, be who you are, and sometimes that is who you are. And then sometimes you'll morph. My favorite one, I had to officiate a wedding, so I had this this long dress, designer dress, and it's a Buddha, and so I was walking through in the hotel, and somebody goes, "Wow, that is a really cool character. Who's that?" And I go, "It's hilarious." I'm like, yeah. So that was very. If anybody ever told me last Wednesday or whatever I was going to be at Gen Con for 3 days on this panel of paranormal and that other people, it was just boom, there it was. So. Oh, you'll have this in your own lives where, because I call things being in orbit. Lots of times I'll look at people, and there's all kinds of things, and it's always looked to me like that since I was a little kid. Like the things are in orbit around you, and they're orbiting because they don't have a place to land. You have to wait for the other planes to get off the track, or you have to it's just like if you have a full glass of water, you can't get clean water in the glass unless you empty out and create a space. So when you empty out, then these things can land. They can come in. So don't keep yourself in that illusion of if I let go of something, oh my God, what's going to happen? Something better is going to come in. That's what's going to happen. You will have made room for these things that are in orbit, and you'll start to sense them yourself. You're going to start to have more tangible, as people are waking up out of the matrix. Let's just call it, because everybody knows that movie. As you're waking up, because it's real, as you're waking up out of the matrix, you will start to have more and more heightened senses of smells will be stronger, your hearing will change, you're waking up, okay, and you're opening. And it'll become very real what the processes that you're in. And you'll see things happen instantly. It won't be the kind of thing, well, if I do something, it's kind of like how instant karma can be. You're going to have instant dharma. If you do certain right actions in the moment, you're going to have instant gratification, instant reward, instant things that happen. So I encourage all of you to do that. Don't buy into the fear. Don't buy into negativity. Keep pushing forward. And get rid of I don't know anyone in this last year, and I'm talking about little tiny kids to people that were very elderly, thinking they were going to die or having death visions. It was the theme of this last year or two. I mean, people I know that are not depressed have never had a death thought in their life, so it wasn't like they were depressed. They just thought, wow, I think I'm going to die. It was kind of starting to actually freak me out, because I would have kind of reading after reading. There were people going, I think I'm going to die, or I think I'm going to die, or I had this dream that I died, or I don't know why, but I feel death. what we were all feeling was the death of the old paradigm, the death of the old self, the death of the old ways that couldn't exist anymore. They were collapsing. And so it did, I could almost smell that. I could almost just, it was, I could feel it. And it was, I mean, seriously, it was, in all the years I've done work, I've never had that many people who would just say it. And people think they're having one of the most common was people think there was a lot of heart activity. So people would think they were having heart attacks, they were getting pains in their chest, they were getting anxiety in their chest. People were, it was very interesting how the whole death theme. So you want to look in your own life, and so if you've had those thoughts, you've had those feelings, and a lot of people that I know that would never commit suicide, but they were saying things like, you know what, just beam me up, Scotty. I just want to be here. This is just been here, done this, I'm done, out of here. And so there were very bottom line issues already going on where death was courting us in a way, and not the physical death, but death was saying, I'm real, I'm here, what is this? When you face your death is when you live. When you embrace being alone, then you're never alone. Whatever these real finite things that we all kind of stay to the edge of, or get right to the edge of, that's where the pain and suffering comes. That's why in the different ancient initiations, that's why they still do it in the Masonic lodges and the different things, rites of passage or different, you face death, hell, and the grave. You go through initiations. Whatever your fear is, you have to deal with it. It's not to be mean, but it's like facing that death of the old self. So we don't have those kind of temples, and we don't belong to the Masonic lodges, and or some people do, and that's fine. So Spirit's giving you your own initiations. Your own initiations about making you face death, and they haven't been really fun. It's like, ugh, okay. But again, it wasn't death of the physical, it's death, and maybe in some cases death of the physical, of the old form. Because a lot of people are losing weight, dropping emotional stuff, morphing in your physical. And the thing about being alone, once you embrace and acknowledge, yes, I'm alone, you're never alone. It's all these paradoxes that are real. So you really want to think back, and maybe you're even experiencing some of these things now, where you just feel that. I know, and I've had so many people where their pets have died recently. Lots of death of animals in the last 8-9 months, 8-9 weeks, last few days. That's common phone calls. Or people. My mother died, April 10th. My aunt died June 30th. There's just been lots and lots of exodus. So, again, when you feel those things, don't run away from them. Because the more you can just go into that, it will help you through other transitions. And I know you all know what I'm talking about. You can look at certain people, and you can tell exactly from the way they dress, their hair, their this, what was the best era of their life, or if they got trapped in a bad era. You know what I'm saying? There's some people, you look, they still have the same hairstyle. They're, from like back in this day or something, and they're just kind of trapped there, but it can be a good thing. You see other people, and you know that they're not in a good place, but you can tell what era they got kept, that they just didn't change, or they got just trapped lost in space somewhere. And it's like that. So you want to let yourself morph. You want to know that the shape shifting that's going on is not a dark thing. It's you are much more energy than you know, and bigger energy than you're going to find out. You're going to start to expand, feel safe enough to expand more and more and more into this bigger part of yourself. Anybody have a question or anything before we do meditation?
I had a dream about, I don't know what happened when I was at my mom's, and it was like a UFO or something. Poisoning the dirt, the soil, and
Wow.
the worms were like crawling to not be in the dirt.
Wow, that's really interesting. When did you have that dream?
Last night.
Well, I've talked about 5 or 6 people in the last month that had a similar dream. It's interesting. What did the aliens look like?
Well, I only sort of seen, I knew it was something. It was a dark, I didn't see anything.
What did the poison look like, or how did you just knew they were?
I just
they were. Did you see them pouring something?
No.
You just knew that they were doing
Yeah,
something bad,
something was.
and then you actually see the worms coming out of the.
Yeah.
That's fascinating. That's like, wow.
It really happened in an investigation, that one that it was on Sci-Fi Factor Fake, that was one of the claims. And they actually went out there and
Wow.
doing all this weird electrical stuff, and all the worms had actually crawled out of the ground and were on the top, so
Then
it
I
was.
wondered about the Dust Bowl. How was that?
Where was that? Like,
I don't remember, I'd have to look.
I looked that up because I would be very interested. Because yeah, I believe those things actually happen, and I've had people having that same type of dream. Yeah. So again, we can transmute the dark energy. This is the thing. It's being aware. You know, it's being aware. It's not. Yeah.
I had another dream. Somehow, all of a sudden I was choking and it was like I had blood clots in my throat, hooked to veins, and I cut one off and then I thought, well, I shouldn't have cut that because I'm a bleed that. But then it went away. So
Wow.
Wow.
That's
I think it was speaking the truth.
But speaking your truth, yeah. And she cuts hair, so she handles dangerous
Oh,
items.
yeah.
She's a so she does cut things. She's a barber, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting though, because did you see, I mean,
Yeah.
what did it look like? I mean,
It was like a red bulb. Just opened my mouth and it was like you would think a blood clot looked like, but they were
Wow.
actually
had
growing out of my veins.
yeah, tentacle, yeah. So that kind of,
Well, it was a ball type,
wow,
not really thin.
but wow, that's interesting. Yeah, it's about speaking your truth, I'm sure. And cutting the cords, but yeah, wow.
Cutting cords, that's good.
And cutting those cords, wow.
Maybe I should do that while I'm cutting hair.
Yes. Well, you know what's interesting about people that cut hair, because hair has DNA in it. Hair has information. That's why in dark arts they use hair. They use it in voodoo. They use it and it's why in religious practices when they shave heads, it's not just for humility. Lots of times it's to get rid of all the old information. So you don't have any of this information on your head. Because hair is a very real thing.
I have clients that, I don't know what nationality they are, but after a
They want
grandparent,
their hair to back, don't they?
no,
they
after their grandparents died, the baby they wait till the baby's a year from that grandparent's death, whichever baby's the youngest, they shave their head, and it's usually a girl. I don't know.
That's wild. You got to find out because that's very interesting. I know a lot of things, but I've never
It
heard.
was so sad at first because you see all these little girls get their hair shaved off. It means some.
Well, Hasidics. The Hasidics, they do that later. They shave women's hair heads. But it's a year. Okay.
After the grandparents had passed away.
Wow. Yeah, you got to find. That's the spiritual umbilical cord. Yeah, that's the crown chakra, and that's why people wear yarmulkes and in Judaism to cover there's a covering of that silver cord. There's different. Yeah, you got to find out. That's really fascinating. I'm gonna have to think about
It
that.
doesn't happen very often. And it's usually they go someplace where they don't usually go when they go to a strange shop or a salon. They have it done.
But you've had people come to you to do it.
Yeah.
Wow. That's interesting. Really, that's very fascinating. We got to definitely find out about that one. That's like, whoa. Anybody else have something?
I said, it was interesting what you said about past lives, because I've never really kind of thought about that or really had any truth to that. And probably about 3 weeks ago, I'm not a lucid dreamer. I remember I was having a dream, and I was like seeing either myself or something, and I said to myself in the dream, wait, this isn't a dream, this is like me in the past. And it was like almost like
Wow.
this little piece of lucidity, I don't remember it, but
Yeah, you knew.
I
You got,
woke up and I thought that has never, ever happened to me before.
and it's happening to people. It really is. I've had,
Weird.
I had people in today with that. It was like very interesting. Yeah, and don't be afraid of that. When you get those, it's all that present time is revealed. So you're gonna, usually things that we are very attracted to or repelled by, it's because of the past life things. People, when you meet people, you don't know why you like them or you don't like them. There's a lot of talents you have, weaknesses you have. All you could come in with the whole. There's a blueprint already going on of things, but you can change it. Yes, you're all going to get those kind of things. Anybody else?
I was kind of laughing when you're talking about the different parts of your house and your animals are kind of guiding you to be with them.
Right.
We have one room in our house that it's kind of turned into storage and the door stays shut and we don't go in there, and even though
Is that up or
it's in the second floor,
right?
it's in the middle.
Okay, that middle. Okay,
The bedroom.
the red.
It's a pretty room, and I put a lot of effort into painting it and making it look nice, but then we just started putting boxes in there. Well, Baxter, my dog, sometimes manages to get in that room and he'll pee in there, so it forces me to be in there to clean up. And
It's in the middle of the back wall. That's your thing, and feng shui. That's your thing. And you're supposed to paint that wall red.
well, it's
This is
red.
it's telling you about don't show off your recognition or your. So he's going in and going.
He's going in there.
This is my thing. I'm going to mark it. Make her go.
He's totally house trained. He doesn't go, and the rest of the house is just
That is funny.
so he's forcing me to be in the one room of
Yep.
the house that I never really go into.
That's what happens. I think that's what. There you go. See, you need to. It is It is. It's why. It's how the stuff works. I like that. No, it is. Yeah. See, and you never know what they're doing. They're showing you. Always showing us things.
He could show me in a little nicer way.
Well, you could have pooped. That's worse.
Yeah.
They are. I love your dogs. They're so cute. Anybody else?
You talked a couple weeks ago about burning sage,
Right.
and that you have the windows closed.
Yes, you have to be careful when you burn sage.
And I used to burn a lot of it. Again, I was using a lot of energy and I had my window shut.
Is
Is
it?
there anything I need to do to kind of
Yeah.
reverse any of
Well, it's fascinating because it's really sage originally was always used outside. You used it outside, which you can definitely use it inside, but make sure you can open all your doors and windows because you want what is coming up to get. Because if you smell sage, it smells like marijuana. It's very earthy smell. It's real earthy. It's real, and so it works in a certain way. I've, in the last few years, used a lot of holy water and rose water. So what I found is that the higher frequencies, use holy water. They make, it's an Edgar Casey brand of rose water. They sell it at Whole Foods. It's wonderful. And it just clears up anything and lifts your energy. Get some of that. Kosher salt. Walk around your property line and drop the kosher salt. And grid your land, claim your land. It's you have to cleanse that area. And it really does it sets a whole frequency in motion. Would you notice when you look back, when you maybe would have done some of the sage and you didn't, that it still felt kind of heavy? Or yeah. Yeah, right. And your hair just smells like it. Your clothes. Yeah. No, it's very real that way. So you have to have a way. It's like anything. We live in a level where things have to go somewhere. So I talked a lot about this when I used to do depossession and that kind of stuff. Where whatever's in a person, if it doesn't get transmuted, it has to jump in something else. And so, you find dead mice or dead rats or things would happen. It's just the way, it's those level of things. So it's the same thing when you stir it up, because things don't die, they change form. And so you have to have a place for it. It has to go.
Can you flush it out? Because I did that, and what we did is we started in the corners upstairs, worked our way out. We had the front door open.
Yes,
And then just
always have
worked
the front door.
in, and then flush it.
Absolutely.
basically out the front.
Exactly, because that's the mouth.
Yeah.
In feng shui, that's the feng shui. Your home is your consciousness, it's your body. And if you go to any Asian business, they have double wide doors painted red, where they see the entrance into a building as it's like the mouth into a body. And so you want to bring chi in, you want to bring life force. That's why they have the big double doors and painted red. And so, right, so you want to have those front doors open, and windows are the eyes, and every room represents something different. But yeah, that's a good way. Yeah, especially right, just see it going out, work with it at different levels like that, for sure. For sure.
So can I spray rose water or holy water on my fracture point? Just walking that line.
I'm laughing because it's so funny. Yes, you can.
I know, I have.
No, and you can see
I have
it.
a glass in my house where I put the same.
Right, I was doing a
It's
session with her,
resonance in
and I'm
my
going,
house.
I see this fissure in your eyes. I can't draw, but I can give me a blueprint of your house or something. And I said, I can just see. And she goes, oh, does it look like this? And it was this crack that appeared in her window, and it was exactly like what I saw. And it was cracked in a weird way. But you can, absolutely, it's just being visible. It's showing you, so you can do something about it, or, how to rectify.
Because it's angled, so it angles right through the kitchen.
Yep.
Our kitchen so it goes from the back bed corner
Right,
through the kitchen, which is angled.
Mhm.
And then
Exactly.
up and Alexis and then loops to this.
That's exactly what I saw. Yep.
Okay,
Yeah, and so you just acknowledge that that's there energetically, and you see it, is that there's anything, that earth energy that needs to, maybe it was a crack to release something from the earth, and then just see it healing, see it integrate.
You know what else was funny? You were right, Alexa was drawing Venus. And Venus, I think you know this already, but I didn't. Venus is very correlated with volcanoes, like that type of eruption, which is another one of Alexa's obsession, lava.
Wow.
And stars. So she's very
She's
Venus-
5, is she 5? 4? Yeah, she's
very
my favorite age.
Venus-minded. So that's what she's drawing right now, is stars, Venus, the honeybees.
But you're from Venus?
Yeah, so it makes me think of that, like that fracture point. And
Uh-huh,
of course, the
yeah,
last
that makes
Venus
sense.
moon was right before the big death, that kind
The morning star is Venus.
of.
That's cool, though. See, right, she's so amazing. She's so tuned in with. And so you put the mirrors up. Do you need, can you see that one house from the side of your house or no? Or is there a house between? One with the
Oh,
icky
the,
people.
I don't, no. No, that house next to us it's very suburbanly set up that people have those businesses. Oh, it is the house next to us. It's not the house, so no.
Yeah, because it's angled, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Make sure nothing is left in your house from that
okay,
person that was there.
okay.
I think there's something she left. Look under the bed, look under the mat. It's a little child, that's what's bad. It sounds like an adult. Yeah, good. Yeah, I feel like there's something, I feel like you're gonna find two things.
I forgot to tell you she broke Alexa's bed while she was there. Yeah, but we fixed it.
How'd she break it?
I have no idea. She kicked out the plywood under, she has a bunk bed. She kicked out the plywood under the house. Now I have to go look back.
There are children that can be evil. I'm just saying. Oh, yeah. I've seen little kids that had something, yeah, do, because it feels better. Your whole aura looks different. The whole energy field looks better, so. This is good stuff. It's really, really good stuff. Anybody else? You doing okay?
Doing okay, that's too much to get into.
It's rough. It's been, because we're Scorpios, and it has been really, I can see it in your orbit. You're doing much, but you really are. You're not down. You've moved.
I'm getting through it, it's just still working through everything.
It's hard. That's what happens with Scorpio. We have that intense need to have that phoenix fire come in and just burn up every little bit of it. It's like, yep, there's still some, so we're going to stick with it until it's done. And when it's done, we're done. We're done. That's it.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to move again in 2 months, so.
Wow. Do you know where?
I'm gonna rent a room at a friend's house because the job thing didn't work out.
That's okay. Well, that was, well, you know that. That's okay, because that was not those weren't your choices. She got manipulated by a very narcissistic husband, soon to be into some situations that, yeah. So don't be sad about that. They weren't your,
I haven't gone into sign.
they don't,
I need to get out of it, but it's just such a mess. It's like,
I'll help you.
it
I'll help you.
was all under his, you know,
Manipulation.
yeah,
It's okay.
so
And that's when, you know,
it wasn't
I get so sick of
private.
people saying, oh, you're acting like a victim. You know what? Sometimes you are being victimized.
It is what it
Yeah,
is.
and it is what it is. And you don't want to stay in that role. But there's times that people are victim,
Yeah,
and you were victimized. So I know the details of it. So you need to know. This is what you want to do. 'Cause again, our homes are consciousness. So you don't feel like that's bad. You don't want to be someplace that he did all this weird stuff and manipulate you into. And I would be very aware also thinking, oh my God, I have to rent a room at a friend's house. This is what I see. I'll tell you why I'm seeing it. I feel very strongly that there's that you could do that, but why not come up bigger on the chessboard and go, oh, I see another move over here. I think I could go right to here instead of having to go move here and then later move over here. That's what I see. I'll talk to you. And that job thing was about new foundation. She worked at she's so smart. She's at a printing business. Yeah, you've been through it, girl. You've been through it. It's hard when you had your own business and all this stuff. But yeah, when you went into that one job, I thought, well, it's about learning about new foundation. I knew what it was. It was just, those are old, you're done with those old things. And the attachment. Because we all get hooked in different ways. You were hooked into some levels of, you were actually way ahead of this person, and then you got lured into getting stuck, and then you were trying to prove yourself to this person, and that's the worst one of all. We've all been there. That is the worst one. I think everybody here can probably attest to that one. That one is probably the worst one to ever.
I see the repeat of patterns with my father.
Oh yeah.
Which is,
We have very similar fathers. Yeah. Yep. And when you have that, it's very, damn it, it's very dark and it's very subtle and it's very, it's totally. But remember, your real father and your real mother are within you. We have all of the archetypes within us, and we have the capability to become all of those archetypes. But you also are a real father and a real mother, a divine mother and divine father. And so that's when you let go of breeders, or the parental units, or whatever you want to call them, and you're not defined by them or what they did or didn't do or how they treated you or didn't treat you. And it's a really rough. It's hard, but you're exactly. It's totally. But and where it gets tricky sometimes is people can at first look like they're so not your mother or your father, and all of a sudden you're going, crap. They are. What happened? How did this happen? Yeah. But the good thing is, that's what I'm saying, don't stay in limited thinking. Don't think Okay, I'm gonna keep suffering, so the only way out is to do this. Where's your piano?
It's in storage right now, but it's gonna go to, where I'm gonna rent. We have room for it there, so
Okay.
I'm gonna be able to get it to me and play again.
Good. I want you to keep your piano. Oh, he did all kind. So, but you uncaptured your piano. It's in okay.
It's in storage. I still don't have everything back yet.
If I have to go with you,
Most of it is like David's stuff that's left over there.
if I have to go with you, I will go.
It's been
I'm a
ready.
warrior, and there's times when I will go. I will, if you need help.
Well, I don't know where the address is, and I don't want to know, because he left that one place, and my stuff got moved,
To where?
I don't know, I don't wanna know the address. I mean,
Okay, let's go into, okay, wait a minute. But you don't care about that stuff, is that what you're saying?
no, but my
Son's
son's
stuff.
supposed to go get it.
But he
It's just
knows, or
that
he doesn't know?
He knows, I think he might know the address.
And he just doesn't want to tell you in
He
case you
just
want to.
hasn't been able to have time to go get it.
Okay.
His car hasn't been the most reliable, so he just goes to work and back.
You need to write a
It's
book about
just
your
been
story. She's got a really interesting story. It's
I-
very
I
complex.
thought that
You should. Oh my God, it's a she has. I don't know, but you fascinating story. You do. Yours is so. It's so fascinating. It's very. When those pictures, I still see those pictures you showed me of your child. Your mother. Not all of it. It's. No, you need to write. You need to write a book. Yeah. But if you need help with something, sometimes you need people to help you stand up for yourself, and there's nothing wrong with that. Especially when you haven't had people to help you. So we got your back.
Okay.
Yeah, and your son's back.
Before I go ahead and sign, I want.
Because I just want to make sure that you're not just saying, okay, this is a quick fix. Let's, yeah, and it could be perfect. I mean, I'm just saying, really make the move from something that's right for you.
Well, it might be temporary, but until I get a job that
I
I
understand.
know is gonna last longer than 2 months.
Is this somebody that you know?
Yes, I've known since '89.
Okay,
So,
and you trust
Yeah.
this person, and
Yeah.
their space is nice, and
yes,
okay, good. Okay, just watch out, because I don't
and we have 2 months to kind of,
figure it out.
I mean, we've worked through a lot of it, but
Okay, good.
it
You're gonna be
looks like
okay.
that is a plan,
Okay.
if we don't.
Okay, we'll just put out to the universe that a way for you to manifest a living will happen. I mean, you own your own business. You own your own business. I mean, you're just not capable of working, so go figure it out. Be okay. Yeah, it's a very interesting time of a lot of things that have appeared to be so fractured. They're not really fractured, they're just, you're done. And there's a new life. You just have to let the new life come in. Let go of the old stuff that's not feeding your soul anymore. So let's do meditation, do a short one. We're very grateful for the actualization of present time. Again, it's just like unconditional love. It can't just be a concept. And so as we're speaking and piercing into the present time, we're actualizing it. So in accordance with each person's free will and highest good, we ask the bodies to align mentally, spiritually, physically, emotionally into real time, present time, now time. I want you to feel how safe you are. I want you to feel how grounded you are. I want you to feel how loved you are and needed on the earth at this time. In what ways are you needed and wanted? You're needed and wanted. The desire of creators for you to be happy, you to be you, you to be the unique expression of spirit that you are. You don't have to do this or do this dogma or do these other things. All you have to do is birth in, act and manifest who you really are. and live your authentic life. So, and again, in accordance with each person's free will and highest good, we ask for guidance, we ask for liberation, we ask for the ending of the fear and the control and the terror and the places people have been trapped. We're grateful for this freedom. We ask that light to go into every cell of our bodies, to illuminate the DNA, illuminate the whole lineage that we're connected with. We ask for a cleansing of the body, mind, and spirit. We ask for an activation of the original divine blueprint that's encoded in everybody. In the way that's right for each individual, we ask for that activation of the divine blueprint. We ask all pictures of death to be turned into pictures of life, all pictures of fear to be transmuted into pictures of unconditional love and truth. It's safe to remember who you really are. It's safe to come out of hiding. It's safe to be transparent. It's safe to actualize your dreams. It's safe to die to the old self. It's safe to be reborn. There's a very strong energy radiating up from the earth. I want you to feel that connection, that magnetic pull of the Divine Mother, but I want you to feel there's movement, there's activity, there's energy roaming, moving around, and it's coming up through your body. I want you just to feel how alive the earth is, how healthy, how she's shaking off the poisons, the toxins, and there's this emergence of this beautiful energy coming up through your body. Just open, let the bottoms of your feet just pull up all that incredible energy through your body. I want you to think about that beautiful full moon, that beautiful, beautiful stars, the starry, starry night, and know that you are star-seated from the stars. We are stardust, we are golden. And we're returning to the garden, we're returning to that place of consciousness. And I want you to feel, again, that magnetic pull of the Mother. And I want you to feel the electrical energy of the Divine Father, Father Sky, but not as a lightning bolt, not as a punishing God, not as a judgmental God, but I want you to feel this incredible, magnetic, moving energy of the earth attracting this amazing electrical energy of the Father, and feel it coming down through your crown, down through your body. And each chakra in your body corresponds to a planet, to a sound, to a tone, to a color. I want you to know that there's new life being created throughout the universe all the time, a new life being created in your own body. Let go of the armoring. Put down the sword. Take off the heavy armor. Take off the layers and layers and layers of ways that you tricked yourself into thinking that you're safe because you're hiding. You can't hide. Let those things drop away. Let those layers go. Let that armoring, especially in the heart, let it go. as you feel this tingling energy moving up through your body and moving down through the crown, down through your body. It's igniting life force. It's reinforcing the immune system. It's cutting the cords of disease. It's getting rid of miasms. It's just working to clear and cleanse and heal all the little parasites that get in your nerve endings. You're going to wonder those little sensations. Just get rid of anything in your life that's parasitic around you, in you, around, and you just let the idea of things that feed off of you or victimize you or that you're allowing that to happen, let it go. I want you to feel the heat that's moving through your hands, through your body, the tingling, the energy. You're energized, you're awakened. And ask for a scanning of all the chakras, a scanning of the whole body. Anywhere there's something trapped, hidden, diseased, disenfranchised, not healed, any wounds of the body, mind, and spirit, we ask them to be open, to be gathered together here. We ask the light to go in to heal those wounds. They can no longer be covered, but they can be healed. I want you to imagine the most beautiful garden. Your garden of Eden. It's here. It's within you. It's outside of you. Feel and connect with your garden state. You are a living, breathing, walking tree of life, and you're surrounded by beauty. You're not separate from the beauty, from the amazing garden that's yours. It's safe to let go of anything that's not of the light. It's safe to let go of suffering. It's safe to let go of fear, shame, guilt, abuse, molestation, victimization, lack, abandonment, rejection. You may feel a lot of movement in the rib area, in the solar plexus area, and there's an energy moving to soften the rib cage, to open the solar plexus, open the central sun in your body. Let this warmth and the sun go into every cell of your body. There are many ancestors, there are many beings of light here helping, transmuting, because they're cleansing and clearing and healing as well. As above, so below. It's safe to speak your truth, it's safe to feel your truth, it's safe to always have your heart open. The sacred heart is always open. It never closes down. It has nothing to do with what other people are feeling, thinking, doing. Feel that open-hearted compassion, non-attachment, a place of pure, unconditional love radiating through your whole being. I want you to feel the heart connection. It's in this room, in this space, in your life. And open, 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 and feel that heart. Feel your heart unburdened. Feel unblocked. There's a lot of energy that's trying to move down through the body, down through the bottoms of the feet. Let it go. Let it release. The earth can transmute the poisons, the toxins. Let it go. There's a huge wave of energy that's moving and cleansing. And let it move. Let it cleanse. Feel that pull of gravity. Feel that energy being drained out from the bottoms of your feet. There's a heat. You may find yourself sweating. It's a profound, fiery energy, transmuting, cleansing. And it is big, and it is going into every cell of your body. Purging, cleansing, transmuting all the things that are not of the light. We also, in accordance with everybody's free will and highest good, we ask the last of all the negative umbilical cords on any level that are keeping us attached to suffering, to pain, to death, to limitation. We ask them to come forward. We ask them to be pulled up by the roots. We ask them to be gathered together, and we ask the Archangel Michael to sever all negative cords that are binding you. You are free from old ways of thinking. You are free to be who you are. You are free to explore your life, to have fun, to be happy, to be joyful, to be healed. Again, we ask for a restoration of the body, mind, and spirit. and guidance as to how to bring all of our talents and abilities into this level, into a way that brings happiness, fulfillment, prosperity for others, for self. It's like there's a last of a heavy energy, because the last couple of weeks have been very heavy, very filled with twists and turns. Just let it go. Let go of all the accumulated energy that's here. Cleanse it out. Remove it. Make a space for the new to come in. We speak to the adrenals, we speak to the nervous system, we tell the body to go into deep healing levels, sleep at night, healing sleep, restful sleep, healing dreams that you'll remember. We ask this process of healing and remembering and awakening to continue into the night, into the dreams, into the days to come. And we ask that peace that passes all understanding to come into every cell of our bodies. We ask that faith that's a knowing faith to come into manifested form. We ask that great comforter, the Holy Spirit, to guide us and fill our hearts. And when you're ready, return to the consciousness of this room and this process of healing, remembering. Will continue. Lots of heat and cool. Heat and cool. You may not feel like it right now, but there is a time, and it's in the next few days, next few weeks, of rest, of healing in a restful way, and there's a time of pure bliss and happiness and joy that's here. Let that, all of our lives are under a microscope right now, in your magnifying glass, and you're seeing the last of the things that are not working. That's all. Let it go. Keep cleansing, keep removing things, keep working through this, because there's a beautiful, beautiful energy that we're all in and we're going to be able to stay in. And so the last of those things that are heavy or worrying you, or don't let your mind get ahead. Surrender to the process that you're in, because it's just going to keep moving, keep going into this very beautiful space. And again, you may find yourselves, it's a thing I was feeling when we were all up in spirit, you may find that you want to get rid of tons of stuff. Maybe stuff you even have piled, I don't know, maybe you may be going, no. Yeah, it's time to let go. Time, and not in a forced way. You'll know the things I'm speaking of. You're just going to be, there's just certain things you won't be attached to like you were, because you're morphing and you're shedding those coverings and shedding the attachment to things that were important about certain eras of your life. And it's just that attachment's not going to be there. It's just not going to be there. Does anybody have any other questions? This was good tonight. I would encourage everybody to go home, take a shower, cleanse. The showers cleanse more than the body. They cleanse the body, mind, and spirit. And as you're cleansing, just let all of that be. I've been so grateful, feeling such a gratitude and such a joy that it's all here. The good things are here. And the last of those things that appear dark or appear negative they're going to disappear. So it was wonderful to see everybody, and see you again next week. Yeah, we go reverse. Oh, I always want to touch it. Oh.